Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jennifer Long. It is already week 6 of the Through the Woods Quilt-Along, and this week we are sewing the grandmother block. So we're going to be learning and sewing all about Grandma. Where is she? She's up there. We're going to talk about some tips and tricks to get those points perfect. We're going to talk about ways to adapt that block and some bonus blocks that are inside this book. And we're also going to talk about all things Grandma. So come on in and join me and let's get started. All right, welcome everybody. Again, my name is Jennifer Long from Sew a Story. I am an early childhood educator turned Riley Blake fabric designer, and I am thrilled that this week, week 6, we get to focus on grandmother. So as you may or may not know, that this fabric collection here is actually called To Grandmother's House. It is near and dear to my heart. Both my grandmothers, my paternal and my maternal grandmother, both had an impact on my sewing. My maternal grandmother taught me a lot of hand sewing, and she did a lot of crochet and needlework. And my paternal grandmother actually owned a sewing and knitting store, and she got me really inspired about dolls. She helped me knit and sew doll clothes, and also a lot of dance costumes and things. So this is a homage to both of them this week here. So To Grandmother's House fabric collection is featured in this book called Through the Woods. This is a physical book that you'll need to grab if you don't have it already for this quilt along. And it has all these different blocks cut in here. And this week is Grandma block. So grandmother block starts on page 23. And the cutting is there as we have been doing before. So this is the grandmother block that we are talking about here. And just like every other block that we've done of a person, you can feel welcome. There is a link there to changing the skin color, changing the hair color to represent the grandmother in your life. So there is a blog post that I have specifically for doll making and quilt making of your skin tones and hair tones. So I hope that you can take a chance to read that and really personalize, excuse me, this block how you have it. If you are making it in the quilt, you will want to make the road where her feet is. If you are making her on her own, you can decide if you want this to be background or if you want this strip to actually be grass or a road or how you like to have it. I'm going to drop you down and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the piecing, and I'll just show you a little bit of some of my pinning techniques. And then I'm going to come back up and I'm going to give you all things grandmother. So stay with me.
Okay, so we're making the 2 half rectangle triangles again on grandmother's dress. And we've already done the technique, and now it's time to trim them. And I'm going to just show again my favorite perfect every time technique. So the finished piece we want is 2.5 by 5. I've used like a sew-in stabilizer here so you can kind of see through it, but it has a little bit of stiffness to it. And you can see that it's smaller than the half rectangle that I've made. So you can cut it from corner to corner and line up the corners and then cut around if you want. But if you want to get your points exactly in your 1/4 inch seam allowance, let me just show you how I do this. So I line this up with my cutting mat so that I can see exactly, let's just zoom you in here. So I can see exactly where my 1/4 inch increments come in. So I'm going to put a dot right at the 1/4 inch intersection, and then just as a guide, I just draw along them like that. I'm going to do that on all 4 corners, so I can use this for this. I can use this template that I'm making for all of my half rectangle triangles on this. Okay, let's just zoom back out again, and I'll just show you what I do now. So now I'm going to take 1/2 rectangle triangle, and I'm going to line up this point. You can even take a pin to do that. So I'm going to line up this point right on my seam allowance, and another one right on my seam allowance. And depending on how narrow or how wide your triangle, half rectangle is, depending on where this point will be. But you'll see that it's not going to match up exactly in the corner, and that's what you want, because when you do your 1/4 inch seam allowance there and your 1/4 inch seam allowance there, it's going to be right on the angle. So now that I have that in place, I'm just going to take my ruler. I'm going to line it up alongside 2 edges of my half rectangle template, and I'm going to pull those away. And I'm going to repeat this on the bottom side, and then carefully, not to shift anything, I'm going to repeat this on that final side. And I'll show you what this looks like. All right, so once it's trimmed, now you'll notice here that the corner is actually not at the corner, which is exactly what you want for a rectangle, because when we do that 1/4 inch seam coming in, look, right at the point. Perfect. So you'll repeat that same technique on the other rectangle going in the other direction. And this is why I did it on all 4 corners, because this time I'll use these 2. And I'll just repeat that whole technique. Have fun. Okay, so we're making the apron now on grandmother's dress, and I just wanted to show this pinning technique again. I know I've shown it a few times in this sew along, but when you're working with 2 angled pieces going to a straight piece, let's just zoom in a little bit, and I'll just show you here. So you're going to flip this over. I'm actually going to just turn it away from myself so it's easier for pinning. And I am going to find this seam here where it intersects with the angle piece. So I am going to put it right through the open seam. This is why I love open seams. And I'm going to put it right on that seam and pin it so it's straight up and down. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side so it matches, and pin it straight up and down. And then I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to put a stabilizing pin here that goes like this, and a stabilizing pin that goes like this. And so that way when I'm sewing my 1/4 inch, I'm aiming for those pins that are straight up. I won't sew over my pins, but I am going to sew towards them. That's like my North Star.
Okay, everyone, so welcome back, and we are doing grandmother's house, just grandmother, actually, not her house yet, just grandmother block. And I just wanted to talk about a couple other things that are from this collection that really support grandmother. So, if you know about me, you'll know that I am a professional doll maker. And then this is my prototype version of To Grandmother's House grandmother doll. She is made completely in a domestic embroidery machine. So she's completely done in the hoop. This is a technique that I really helped hone and develop over the last 20 years as a professional doll maker. And I wanted to bring it to the masses and share it for all the reasons that I have said throughout this quilt along about lifting up others and about really just bringing children front and foremost, and having them just appreciate our handmade. So if you're interested in this doll or any of the other dolls in this series, make sure that you have signed up for the wait list if it's not open right now, or depending when you're watching this, or get on the Modern Ragdoll membership. So it's modernragdoll.com. We'll put a link in below, and you'll want to make sure that you can take advantage of all of that. So dolls are a big passion. I just wanted to do a little bit of a discussion about dolls. Talk about the Sew a Story Pattern Club, because in the Pattern Club really like to lift each other up and also share creations. But I always give two patterns. One is a craft, a fabric pattern, and one is a quilt pattern every single month. And both of those patterns, you get their full patterns, and they are less than the cost of just one pattern. So it's a really an amazing deal. I hope you consider joining. And I wanted to share something that Grandma really loves and is inspired by Grandma's apple pie from this book. And these are the little felt pies. Like, look how adorable they are, you guys. There's some gorgeous fabrics peeking through. Of course, there's the heart-shaped pies too. Look at the hand stitching detail on them. And so that's lots of fun. You can make these with children. You can make them for children so that they can play and put them in their toy oven. Of course, you can make them with the dolls, and they can help, really have a whole dramatic play time together. And then, of course, the full circle is the quilt block, the grandma quilt block. So that is the fun about week, what is it, 6 of Through the Woods Quilt-Along. Make sure you pick up your copy of the book. Now, do not forget to share. If you're making any of these projects from Sew a Story, but especially this Quilt-Along, please share photos, videos, reels, progress, cutting, anything that you want to be entered for our contest at the end for our giveaway. So all you need to do is just share and tag Sew a Story, or on Instagram it's Sew a Story _ Jennifer Long, and you can also share within the Sew a Story Facebook group. So I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you to both my grandmas for inspiring me and really instilling the love of this craft. So I really owe this to them. And I really hope that we can continue that and pass that down to other generations. So thank you, grandmothers, all grandmothers out there, for sharing your love of the fiber arts with the next generation. And I hope that we can do the same thing. So see you again next week for the cottage. So Grandma's Cottage is next week. See you next week. Bye for now.